everybody, welcome back. Hope you all had a good week. Today is December 10th. I'm telling you that for a very specific reason. Today is a letter day in American history. Anybody know what it is? Shout it out, don't be shy, just tell me. That's right, it's my birthday. Thank you, save your applause. So this morning, my lovely, amazing wife rolls over, gives me the softest, easiest kiss on the cheek, wishes me a happy birthday, and then proceeds to tease me about how close I am to 50 now. That's okay, her birthday's coming as well. And then she asked me what I'd like for my birthday dinner. I've been thinking about this all week, and I already had a plan in my head. So she asked me, she says, do you know what you'd like? I said, yep. I'd like bacon wrapped asparagus, roasted cabbage steaks, seasoned sweet potato fries, and medium cooked steak. She lays there a few minutes, rolls back over to me and says, I think that'd be a great video. So I thought for a minute, I said, she's telling me she doesn't want to cook tonight. It's all right, I'll cook, and I'll bring you guys along. Let's get started. I have a couple, it's just regular cabbage, right here somewhere. There it is. A couple of cabbage. We had some leftover cabbage, so we just carved off a couple little pieces, kind of like steaks, you know, like that. Now what we're going to do with these is brush them with a little oil. This has salt, pepper, and garlic already in this. So we'll just brush a little of this on here, like just a little bit, just to give them a little bit of flavor. Get that on there. We have our oven behind me preheating to 400 degrees. Before I put these on this tray, I brushed a little of this onto the tray just to help the underside cook so they won't stick to the tray, and they'll get a little flavor underneath also. Put that away for a minute. Yeah. Next thing we're going to do is asparagus wrapped in bacon. I pre-cooked the bacon a little bit beforehand. I did this for a couple reasons. I like to cook it a little bit first, so when it's baking in the oven, it gives it a chance to get a little bit crispy. You don't have to do this. I just like it. It gets a little bit crispy, and it'll add some flavor to the asparagus. And also, because it's a damp, dreary, kind of cold day, and our grill is packed away in the shed for the winter, I'm going to do a reverse sear steak. I'll show you how to do that here in a few minutes, but I wanted some of this bacon grease into that frying pan to do that with. Go through some of this stuff. It's my birthday. I'll tell you a quick story from my childhood. My mother told us this story. I wanted my mother to tell you, but she didn't want to come on the camera and tell you, so I'll tell you. When I was a young fella, about 2.5 years old, I was not known for sleeping all night or staying in bed all night. My dad worked away from home all week, so he was gone all week. He was only home on the weekends. So my mom had gotten up in the night to check on me and check on the rest of us. Comes to my room and I'm not there. So she panics a little bit, you know, oh my God, where's my toddler? It's the middle of the night. So she looks in all the bedrooms, you know, all around the house, and I'm nowhere to be found. So finally she hears me, I'm outside. I'd snuck out in the middle of the night. I was outside playing with my trucks, and we didn't have a sandbox, we just had a pile of sand. Playing with my trucks in my sand pile. So she brings me inside and puts me back in bed. And this goes on a few more times during the week. Well, Dad comes home, she tells Dad about it. Dad's well. So he puts a lock on the back door, way up high, where a little 2.5-year-old little boy can't reach it, you know. So come the next week, same thing's happening. I'm going outside. So next weekend, Dad's home. Mom tells Dad about it. Dad says, there's no way he can be going outside. So that night, of course I was outside, she wakes my dad up and said, you don't think he's outside? Look for yourself. And there, sure enough, there I was outside playing with my trucks in the middle of the night in the sand pile. So they bring me inside, you know, put me back to bed like always. The next night, because they're wondering how I'm reaching this lock that's way up high on the top of the door. So my dad stays up and he's watching. Well, I drug my chair out of my room and a bunch of toys and, you know, constructed this sketchy leaning tower of, you know, kid's first broken arm. Get up there and unlock the door. So they figured out how I was doing it anyway. So Dad had to come up with a better locking system to keep little me inside at night. My wife loves that story. I figured I'd tell it. But just a little guy, you know, just wanted to play with my trucks, that's all. Get this last one wrapped up here, and we can slide these in the oven. I think I got room for them on here on the side. There we go, right there. If you didn't get it all over yourself, you didn't do a good job, right? These are going to go in the oven, 400 degrees, for about a half an hour. 25 minutes to a half an hour. Okay, Google, set timer for 25 minutes.
Okay, 25 minutes, starting now.
So next thing we're going to do is seasoned sweet potato fries. Now, all day long, I've been kind of in the back of my mind, you know, we're going to do these in the air fryer, and I've never even put one finger. I couldn't tell you how to run this thing to save my life. So all day long, I'm thinking in the back of my mind, this is how I'm going to get my wife on camera, because she refuses to come on this side of the camera. So I'm thinking of this all day, you know, kind of playing my poker face, and my plan is to get to this point and have my wife come help us. So we're getting ready to go, and every time we start filming, videoing, whatever you want to call it, she gives me a countdown, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go, and then I start talking. So we get everything set up, she gets set up with the camera, she gets ready to count down, and she goes, oh, by the way, I'm not doing the fries on camera. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go. So here we are. So we're gonna pause right now and get the fries going, and then When we come back, I'll show you how to put the steak together, what we're gonna do with that, and get that cooked, and hopefully everything will be done. We'll see you in a few minutes. Back everybody. Cabbage steaks and asparagus are almost done. We've got seasoned sweet potato fries in the other room. Got a couple steaks here. These have been sitting out to come to room temperature. You want them a little bit warm to touch. Don't worry, they're not gonna spoil or anything like that. It just helps the meat relax and soften up a little. We're just gonna put a little old trusty salt, pepper, and garlic on these babies. Just sprinkles them right on. Like that. Rub it right in. Good shape. We got a pan heating up behind us. When we do this reverse sear, we're gonna put this in a smoking hot cast iron skillet. About 3 minutes on each side. That's just gonna sear all this meat. Did I flip this guy? No. There we go. It's just gonna sear all this, the outside of this meat. Let this juices get seared in, you know. Go over here. Remember I spoke about the bacon grease. I left that in this pan so we could cook our steak in it. We want that smoking hot. Good way to tell if your pan's heating even. Just touch the top like that. You can feel the same heat around each side. Pretty good. Cook this baby up some. It's coming now. You're just gonna gently on the edge of my pan. Where is it? There it is. It's been a little hotter, but that's alright. This guy in there. And down there. We're just going to let those go for about 3 minutes. Don't touch them, just let them cook. We'll flip them for about 3 minutes, and then they're going to go into this oven. Medium is about 170 degrees. This oven's a little hot for reverse sear. Usually you want to do about 350. This oven's at 400. So we're going to probably check it in 2.5 minutes or so, just so it doesn't go over. Let them go. So we'll get this stuff done. By then, the stuff in the oven should be done before we put this in. And we'll bring you back. See you in a few. Thanks. Welcome back. We've been 3 minutes. The cabbage steaks and that stuff is done. We're just gonna flip these over. Notice I'm using a pair of tongs for this. You want to try not to use a fork if you can help it. You don't want to pierce that sear that you're working to get. Just gently flip these over. Being careful. Simmer in there pretty good. There we go. We're going to let those go like that for 3 minutes. I'll tell you when I first went blind, because I had to learn how to walk and move around, but the people that help me, the people that are around me, have to learn how to walk with a blind person. And there is tricks and techniques, and you know, Karen had to learn how to guide me around and how to watch out for things, as well as watching out for herself. And she and I, you know, we do it all the time, so we're good at it, you know. We can read each other's body language, if you will. But when other people guide me that don't do it all the time, don't have the opportunity, sometimes things happen. For example, like my mom, sometimes when my mom leaves me, she tries so hard not to bump me into stuff and not to trip me over stuff that she's watching my feet sometimes. For example, we're going to a restaurant to go to breakfast, just her and I. We go into the restaurant and she's, I'm holding on to her and she's guiding me along. And we go to swing to the left to go to the tables and she's watching my feet. And caught a pole in the building right there, wham, right in the middle of the head. And she felt so bad. She'd probably be upset. I'm telling you the story. Obviously, she didn't do it on purpose. It's just one of those things that everybody has to learn. And there's been other times like that where somebody's been, because you're always thinking about watching my feet so I don't trip on something or step in a hole. And of course, I can't see it coming, so I've been, run into the corner of a door and things like that. And also, you have to remember, okay, Google, stop. Another thing you have to remember is like doors. Doors either have to be all the way shut or all the way open. If you have a door that wants to go halfway, you need to block it open. When I'm walking, it's called trailing. I'm trailing along the wall or whatever, You're walking along, if the door is all the way open, my hand will hit it. Or if it's all the way closed, I'll find it. But if it's halfway, my arm goes right behind it, wham, right to the face. So it's just, stuff we've had to learn how to do that's, people don't think about. I think these have been about 3 minutes, pretty close. I think we can throw these in the oven. Cut the heat off. All right, so I have an oven now. Cabbage and stuff out, we actually lowered the oven to 350. So we're just going to throw these in to this oven. If I can do this without catching myself on fire. I can't see what I'm doing here. There we go. Like that. Now we're going to go about between 2 and 3 minutes, and that should be pretty good. When we take them out, we'll check it out, see how it is. Notice I had the steak sitting in a glass plate. You want to do this. Don't put your steak in a paper plate and let it sit out like that and warm up, because that paper will absorb all those juices from that steak. And you can actually get the paper will stick to your steak. I like to use this glass plate because the juice stays in it. Excuse me. Then when you put all the whatever season you want on it, when you flip it over, it'll absorb that juice back into it. And we'll probably use this plate right here to put the steak in when it's done anyway. Just set this over here. Alright. As this is cooking off the last few minutes, I had to learn how to walk with what's called a white tip cane. You see blind people walking with them, they out in front of them with it. And that's actually been a savior for me, because that, kind of like an early warning system, if you will, stops me from running into things. Downfall is it's hard to carry stuff. Like if I want to get my lunch and a drink, I have to take my lunch to the table, then come back and get the drink. Or if I have 2 or 3 things to carry, I have to make trips because I have to have one hand for that stick. So essentially, it helps me see, but I'm still half blind, if you will, or limited. that way. It is a great asset to have. I've started programs called orientation and mobility training to help me around the house, little better around the house cooking and all that stuff. And it also will help me understand the cane more and be able to use it more proficiently. So in hopes eventually I can have a guide dog, which that'll be amazing. It'll be such an asset and such a wonderful thing. I'm thinking these have been a couple minutes now. We'll let them go a few more minutes here. It has definitely been a struggle, but it's also been almost, I don't know if a blessing is the right word, because I don't know, but the amount of help that I've received from people and the amount of support has been amazing. And you know, if you look at it as a glass half full type of thing, I don't have to ever help nobody move. I don't have to mow the lawn. I don't have to do a lot of things. So I guess you could look at it like that. Let's see how this steak's doing. It should be pretty close. Pretty good. Well, I can hear it sizzling in there. See if I can get this out of here without. There's the handle. You going there good? Very good. Look that up. Hear that sizzling? That's a nice sound. I'm going to bring this over there and set it on this pot holder if I can. You guys can get a better look at this. What we want to do now is we want to pull this out of this pan so we can stop the cook. You feel around there, that feels pretty good, nice and tender. I'm going to pull these out of this pan. We're going to lay them back on this plate. We're just going to let them rest. We'll let them rest a few minutes. Let me find this other guy. There we go. Yeah, I'm going to let them rest for 10 minutes, and then we'll plate this stuff up and show you how it looks. See you in a few minutes. Welcome back, everybody. We let the steak set. When we shut the camera off, we checked it with a thermometer, and my thermometer quit working. And I have a talking thermometer on the way, it just hasn't got here yet. I'll show you that when it gets here. But we ended up putting these back in the oven for about 5 more minutes because I underestimated. These are pretty thick steaks, and my oven was about 50 degrees hotter than I normally like to run it. So you want 5 to 7 minutes after you put it in the oven for a good medium steak. I estimated about 3 minutes because the oven was way too hot. So anyway, we cooked them off a little bit more. We let them set. Here they are, finished. Everything looks good. I just want to say thank you, everybody, for watching, and stick around after this. You can sit down at my table with me and I'll tell you some more stories. Thanks again for watching, and remember, if you didn't get it all over yourself, you didn't do a good job. See you next time. Down to eat. I thought I'd tell you a quick story about my childhood. I told you one earlier. This next story, about 7 or 8 years old, and I grew up in Freeport, Maine, and back then Freeport was a pretty small town still. And Saturday, going to the dump on Saturday was a event. I'm sure some of you know what I'm talking about. Every Saturday you took your trash to the local dump. You took a truckload of your junk to the dump and brought a truckload of somebody else's junk home. So I was always building bicycles, and every time we go to the dump, I'd bring home a truckload of bicycle parts. So we had this old chicken barn on the back of our property. My dad cleaned it up, turned it into a garage, a shop, and there was a room in the corner of it that he let me use for my bicycle shop. And I had bike parts for days in there. Well, one summer, like I said, I lived in a neighborhood with a range of kids ages from my age, 6, 7, 8, all the way to late teens. But we all played together. We all had fun together. One day, we thought it'd be a good idea to set up a jump our bicycles. So you come out of my driveway and turn right, you go up to the top of the hill. We call that Morsy's Hill. And we'd start up there and we'd come down that hill pedaling for all we're worth. And if you took a left out of my parents' driveway, there was a house between us, and then my aunt and uncle lived 2 houses down. So we'd come down the road, across their side lawn, and set the jump up and try to jump all the way across their driveway onto their front lawn. Well, we're doing this and we're doing this. Well, I had built this bicycle from all these spare parts. And I had found these funky old handlebars. And they come out of the gooseneck, and they turned and come way up beside your head like that. And then they looped out and come around, and the handles are like this. So they look kind of like horns on a ram's head. And they were way up here, and they were funky old handlebars. And I had them on a bicycle, and I thought they were the coolest thing. And I also I'd taken a whole bunch of front forks, and I'd stuck them all together. So I had this fork that stuck way out the front of my bike. So I come flying down Morsy's Hill on this bike, and I'm pedaling for everything I'm worth. I veer onto Aunt and Uncle's side lawn, and everybody's lined up waiting to see me, because I'm about to blow Evel Knievel out of the water with this bad boy. So I hit this jump, and I fly off this jump. And the front tire leaves the jump a good 30 seconds before the back tire does, because the bike is so long. And I was probably only 2-3 feet in the air, but it seemed like I was about 275 feet in the air. I'm flying because when I come off the ground, the whole front of this bike just falls apart. And I'm in the air watching the front of my bike fall apart. What else can you do but ride it out? I leaned back for all I'm worth, and that back tire hit, and down she come, and off I went, right over the handlebars. And one of those big ram horn, whatever you want to call them, caught me right in the lip, and I drove my tooth down to my lip. Up over I went, and like I said, I was only 7 or 8 years old, so I thought I'd just killed myself, Everybody comes running to see if I was all right, blood everywhere. Well, after I got myself gathered up and realized I still had all my teeth, then I was worried about my bike. I had to put my bike back together. But we went on jumping bikes for the rest of the day. No more major catastrophes, but I thought I'd just tell you a quick story and wish you a good day. Thanks for listening. Be safe. See you next time.